Hey everybody, welcome to Go Bold. My name is Jody Atariwala and I'm your host. And today we're very privileged to have on the show Major Jean-Francois Dupont. And he is the current boss for the Snowbirds air demonstration team with the Royal Canadian Air Force. So Major Dupont, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It's great to have you on the show, sir. So, tell me a little bit about your past. And what made you join the military, and why the Air Force specifically?
Well, since I was a young kid, I just remember wanting to be a pilot. I love aviation. I was going to air shows near my town as much as I could, with what I was able to do.
Mhm.
So my only goal in life was to become a pilot. So this is what I've done and tried for my whole life. Luckily, it kind of worked out. So I joined the Air Cadet just to give me a little bit of a more of a leg up, I would say, for to start learning about flying and try to be a pilot as well in there. And I was lucky to get my gliders license in the cadets. And then I joined the Air Force. The Air Force for me was an easy choice because it creates lots of opportunities, and there's so many good awesome aircraft that we can fly and do some great job over there. So this is the action and the fun job that the Air Force provides. Is something that was really enticing for me. So I wanted to be either a fighter pilot or a search and rescue pilot. So I came in there and then I did my training in about 2004, I would say, after my bachelor degree with the military college.
Mhm.
And then I got selected to go fly jets. But because of some of the weight we had, I elected to stay back and become an instructor for about 4 years in Moose Jaw. So teach some of the basic stuff for the new pilot in the Air Force.
Okay.
And then from there, like Snowbirds was, to be honest, was not really something that I was really looking to achieve, because for me it was like above and beyond what I was expecting to do at that point.
Sure.
Uh, but because the training, the school is so close to the Snowbirds, and I saw a lot of my friends going to the Snowbird and actually making it,
Mhm.
then I was like, you know what, maybe I'll put my name in there. It's the timing was right, and you're there locally, so you don't have to move and all that stuff. So and so I put my name, and it kind of worked out. I did the tryouts, and I got selected for number two, and I did season 2010 to 2012, so 3 years on the team.
Awesome.
Then kind of stay back as a standard officer, just to make sure that helping to build up the future teams for the next couple of years.
Mhm.
And then I made I would say a big switch, but it's a pretty big switch. But decided to go fly helicopter, kind of my other goal I wanted to have. So I did the jet thing a little bit, and now I wanted to fly a helicopter search and rescue. So I was lucky enough to be able to switch to that. I flew the Cormorant, the CH-149 in Comox, British Columbia, for 4 years. So I did a lot of rescue with that machine,
Mhm.
and then again I got super lucky to be able to apply to become the team lead for the show team. So I put my name in, and then again it kind of worked out. So I've been pretty lucky in my whole career.
So back to Moose Jaw.
Yeah, back to Musha. Just you always return to Musha. It's crazy.
Well, that's awesome. You've had a very diverse career in terms of, just like you said, jets, propeller aircraft, rotary wing. That's
Yeah.
fantastic, and I think that is indicative of what makes up the Snowbirds team. Is it's not just all fixed wing pilots.
No, you're correct. Like we pride ourselves to say that we're picking up pilots from all around the Air Force. It doesn't matter what you fly, you can apply for the Snowbirds. Obviously, jet and injection seat time counts for, I would say, a little bit, if nothing, because it's just the fast pace at what we're moving. We need to people that are kind of used to that. So
Mhm.
often the transition was to actually for pilots to go to the school, and then from the school they get that ejection time, the fast pace, the fast speed, and then they apply to become a snowbird. But lately we've opened the door also for to apply from directly from other communities. but we see that it is challenging, and there's some time initially to get used to the speed and just the way the jet fly really. But the Tudor is a great jet. It's an easy jet to fly. It's very balanced, and I love flying that.
Oh, fantastic. And in recent years, now this is your in earnest second time back at the team, but in
Yes.
recent years, I know that with technology now, um, the spectator has an opportunity to see different vantage points than ever before, because it used to just be looking at the ground up, or seeing them static on the ramp. But now with some of the cameras that you have installed in I think some of the pods that you have on the aircraft, um, and also in the cockpit, it's a great way for people to also get an appreciation for being a snowbird beyond just looking up into the sky.
Yes, we got a lot of members that from our team in the last few years that did a lot of work to make sure that everything was approved and ready to go. And then, like you said, we have a camera that goes in one of a modified smoke tank,
Mhm.
which obviously is empty of smoke. And goes normally on my jet and be able to film backward. And also we have like mounts in the cockpit to be able to see how, like, what is our work, because sometimes we want to, the main question is we have most of the time is like, how's it to be a snowbird, like, and what does it look like? But having those great, high definition videos that we can put online, people can actually get a good sense of, if nothing, what we see when we're flying so close together. So some people go like, oh, it looks really close from the ground. While when you actually fly in the air, it's actually a lot closer. So and they understand how tricky and how much movement you can actually see, because when you look at it from the ground, there's movement where you don't really see it, and obviously we try to hide as much as we can.
Right.
But when you're actually in the air and you see the movement, like when there's turbulence and bumps, it's challenging. If you compare ourselves to the American team, like the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels, they
Mhm.
have a very heavy, very big airplane that obviously has a lot of power,
Mhm.
and they don't get affected as much as we do in some of those bumps. So I would say one of our skills for our team is actually working those bumps, working the environment to make sure that with a big formation like we have, like 9 aircraft, everybody's safe at all time.
Right, right, absolutely. So how has the team changed, aside from what we just or spoke about? How has the team changed from your first time at the team, where you did like 3 years, 3 years, I believe, and now? What are some of the appreciable differences?
Well, we like it's been 50 years that the sim has been up. So obviously there's changes throughout the years, and what they've done in the initial years obviously are we're not doing it anymore.
Hmm.
I think every year we try to strive and to improve the way we do business. So if we're doing something that either we don't think it works well, we think it's not quite as safe as it could be, we'll find a different way to do it. But there's a lot of time that stuff have been tried multiple times to change, and we revert back to what we know and what works, because there's a lot of reason why it's working like that. So there's that balance, like what we've been in the past sometimes is the only way, is the safest way to do it, because people learn it probably sometimes the wrong way, or something happened, or there was a close call, and it's like, hey, okay, let's do it this way because of this and that, and we don't have that background anymore. But when we go and try it again or try to change it a little bit, then we go like, like there's no real other good way to do that. So in summary, there's a lot of things that we learned in our past 50 years that make us do things the way we do now,
Hmm.
but we still are daily, yearly looking at how we do business and how we can improve it. So uh, to kind of answer to your question more precisely, I didn't see many differences. Naturally, when we're building a show every year and the people are different, some of the small, I'll say, some of the small stuff are changing a little bit. Oh, we like it better this way, we like it better that way. So that changes on a yearly basis. But the base of it is very similar to what I've seen in the past.
Right, excellent. And so you mentioned it. This is the 50th anniversary of the Snowbirds. Started out as a Golden Centenaires, if I have my history correct.
Pretty
Uh,
much, yeah.
yeah, and so now, uh, tell me about this year. How significant is it for the team? Obviously, it's a major milestone, but and how do you plan to mark the 50th anniversary this year across Canada? And I'm not sure if you're going beyond.
No, we Canada, yes, we're gonna try to go to the United States, but as everybody know now, COVID is a huge issue this year. Not only for us just flying and training, but for air shows to be able to make air shows and for any celebration in general. So
Mhm.
obviously, with all these uncertainty, the show season is flexible. I would say we'll try to adjust as much as we can, and hopefully, air show organizers are going to be able to do something because I know people want to do stuff and we want to make sure that they're safe when they come and watch our show if it does happen. So
Mhm.
uh, on that side, yeah, it is a challenging year to celebrate your 50th anniversary. We will try to do our best to do that. Gold is a bit of a color theme. I won't say much more than that. We'll unveil it a little later,
Okay.
but we're obviously going to try to have some gold accent here and there.
Uh-huh.
As well. With COVID, we can't have a big celebration, but we'll try to do our own. But we're really proud of, of being around for 50 years and flying the same aircraft for 50 years and still doing this job as good as we do. So, if nothing, we'll celebrate within the squadron. But we want to try to go out there as much as we can and show Canada and the United States, hopefully, that we're still here and we're still strong.
Hmm. Talk to me a little bit about training in the COVID environment, because you're right. It's you know, the whole country, the whole world is dealing with COVID. It's one thing to be mindful of those spectators and wanting everyone to stay safe, but how do you guys as a team stay safe?
Well, the main thing is to create, I would say, a little bit of a bubble around the squadron. So it's impossible to do our job and maintain safe distance at all time.
Mhm.
We're side by side in the cockpit. We travel with our tech, so we trying to kind of create our own family bubble, which is the squadron, and which would make sure that each member of the squadron really is very careful if they have to go out and do grocery shopping and all that stuff. Again, to keep the squadron safe, because as you know we don't have backup pilots. So every
Right.
pilot is important. There's obviously the text can be changed up. There's more text than that's what's required at all time.
Hmm.
But obviously for the pilot, if you lose a pilot, then it doesn't work well. If you lose me, then there's no more show. So
Right.
it's a tricky part. So I think we've done a tremendous job to even throughout Ops Inspiration and also throughout our training season to keep each member of the squadron safe and pretty much self-isolating with their family. And then as soon as there's a little sickness and stuff like this, then we do take no chance. We ask those people to stay home and then get tested and see from there. So.
Hmm.
So we're happy with what we've been doing. It is more difficult. So obviously mask everywhere. We still have masks. We still wash our hands as much as possible. But when you go in a cockpit, there's the ambient air is actually full of our breathing air. So
Sure.
uh, that's why we can't just go like, okay, well, social distancing and working from home could work. No, it doesn't work with our squadron. So.
Right, right, absolutely. You mentioned Op Inspiration, and Op Inspiration began last year. Tell me a bit about it, the operation, and um, obviously last year it was going well up until Kamloops and the tragic incident of the loss of one of the aircraft and more importantly the public affairs officer, Jen Casey, who I knew, and it just it's a tragedy, but it's also one of those realities of being in the military. It is a there's no doubt there's risk involved, and it's unfortunate what happened. But tell me about Op Inspiration, and then how is the team picking up from last year and what happened?
Well, Ops Inspiration was they create actually very quickly last year because we're with COVID, we had to stop our training for a while, try to figure out what was going on, how long it's going to stay like this. So there's a lot of question marks when this is all happening.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as we kind of had the idea of doing this, and obviously Captain Jen Casey had a lot to say in there. Then we started training back again, and we went on the road. We had a few other stuff we wanted to do fly by for, obviously, and so some of the some serious incident that happened on the East Coast, and as well as the cyclone crash. We wanted to make sure that the timeliness of us going over there was fairly rapid. So we actually we went out the door as quickly as we could, and as quickly as it could be safe to do so. Um, and um, and yeah, and so I would say, like honestly, I think when we went out there, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if people would be happy to see us, not happy to see us,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's suffering. But the feedback we got was above and beyond what I've ever seen, really, to be honest. The reach that we had within the population and communities was unbelievable. And I know there's like a lot of positive, a lot of negative because we couldn't reach everyone. Like
Mm-hmm.
our jet has limited fuel, and it's hard to actually overfly everyone in Canada. So we're
Sure.
trying to obviously try to maximize fuel versus flying, as try to get as many as people as we can. And it was really also to give thanks to people that were actually working during COVID and try to save lives, like first responder and nurse and people at the hospital. So
Mm-hmm.
the main thing of that was to say thank you for all those people. And on the kind of afterward, it was to really say, hey guys, like it's all going to work out. We're going to go through this all together, and try to bring people together. And it worked. It worked. People were excited and wanted to have more and see more. And so again, the feedback was great. And Jen did tremendous work to keep that connection between the team and what we're doing, and keeping people informed. Uh, and pushing the feedback and pushing some nice picture we had, and some of the excitement of the people we had. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really great. And then from there, and then to now, we are actually going to keep Obspiration, the name of it, and we're going to have a national operation, which is going to be going every year for us and the CF-18 demo pilot,
Mm-hmm.
or the demo team, I would say, and we'll carry on with that every year. So a domestic operation like this kind of gives us a little more support for the families as well for the squadron, which is, I think it's a great step forward. It's a legacy of Jen at the end of the day. So
Yeah, absolutely. So that's fantastic. So Op Inspiration now will be a persistent yearly operation.
that's great.
Fantastic. That's great. Um, you obviously, the tragedy struck in Kamloops, eh, and we don't need to get into what happened. I think anyone can do some research and appreciate that a bird strike happened and an aircraft went down and one of the members was lost. Um, what I know that there was a flight safety investigation after that, but what are some of the main takeaways from that in terms of the aircraft? I am very familiar with a lot of the Royal Canadian Air Force's fleets, and I also know that there's not going to be any aircraft that flies unless they're comfortable. A pilot's not going to hop in a jet or a helicopter if they don't feel safe in it, anyways. So, um, but I believe that there were some recommendations in light of the accident or as a result of the accident. Can you just speak to some of those kind of, I guess, um, initiatives to improve safety?
Sure. At the end of the day, when an accident, even if a minor accident or a major like what happened in Kamloops happen, if we
Mhm.
don't kind of look back and see how we can do things better, then we're failing. We're failing ourselves, we're failing the system, and we're failing Canadian really. So
Right.
I think it's important to look back and see if there's anything we can do better. Before I go too much into what we've done, I just want to say that the Tudor is a single engine aircraft, and bird strike happen fairly often, depending on the season and where we are. And most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time is a non-issue. You hit the wing, you hit another part. There's no real damage. A little bit of a bird gut, and obviously we're going to take it safe, go landing, and make sure we do the inspection and all that good stuff. So it does happen. Bird strikes happen.
Right.
And it does happen sometimes to go in the intake in the engine as well. And most of the time, it's not a big issue. You don't even feel it, or you don't even see it, or you don't feel a difference. So the engine is very reliable. It's very good. The jet is very good, but it is a single engine jet. Okay, so if we have a bird going to the engine and the engine start malfunctioning, then there's not much we can do. And at that point, if you look back at where it happened, is right after takeoff, probably one of the worst placed for that to happen. So there's really little time for a pilot to make a decision and try to figure out where to put the aircraft. And then, obviously
Right.
Kamloops is really close to the city. So there's a lot of factors. I don't want people to understand there's a lot of factors that happen that you need to make a decision in a split second while you're flying formation with someone else to try to make a decision. So it's really, really difficult. It's easy to sit down on the ground and go like, oh, what could have done better?
Right.
Well, nobody was in the air and figure out, okay, what if it happened to me? And then boom, you're not even prepared for that.
Right.
So it's a very challenging scenario.
Hmm.
Having said that, regardless, we can still have some lessons learned. So obviously, we're going to change our training. We modify our training, talking about what to do when you have an engine failure post takeoff, what to do if you have an engine failure post takeoff information. So we were already doing that, but we were just going a little deeper to make sure that, because it's such a worst case scenario, that people are ready and making the right decision. As we talked before, there's different pilots from different airframe throughout the formation. So the background's a little different. So we want to make sure that we're kind of thinking the same way, and the expectation for some of the guys is to do the exact same thing, so we know what they're going to do if something like that happens. So training is one big thing that we're doing. Obviously, making sure like if there's bird activity, we're going to kind of go into a bit of a safer way to operate. So maybe take off as a single airplane, taking off in steeper, like climbing faster and all that. So again, we were kind of doing that as well, but it's just we're going to refresh ourselves and make sure that we understand that as well. What else? A lot of the stuff that we've seen, if not from the flight safety or post incident in Kamloops, is just we look back at everything we do, and we really just went and tried to make everything better and safer. Not that we were doing anything unsafe, but we're actually looking, making sure we're doing nothing that could be better. So we're increasing our takeoff runway length a little bit, and then we're obviously going to maximize our time at high altitude. But we're talking about a show team that do loops and rolls at 300 feet. So that is not going to help us so much. But again, we're trying to put down what we're doing and how we're going to do it better. And to be honest, it's all the stuff that we've done before already. Like there's no need for a formation on an airplane to go low level around the city. Like that makes no sense. So we want to keep, our main goal is always to keep the public safe first, and then keep our members safe, and then maybe at the end, if we can, save the aircraft. So again, lots of little changes that affect or didn't really affect too much how we do business, but it was just a nice way to look back at how we did business and making sure that we're doing it right. We did the same thing. So that was more of a higher echelon look at how the squadron was doing. We actually also look at how we did business as a squadron itself, and unrelated to the crash or anything like this. We found little things that, hey, you know what, this is kind of not right, or this book is not written properly. We should amend this. So we had the time because we were waiting for some of the decision and making sure that obviously the engine was reliable, the aircraft was good and reliable,
Mhm.
for the flight safety investigation to at least be partly obviously completed, but partly going.
Mhm.
And so we had time to look at how we did the stuff, and we made some small changes to just get better. And to be honest, I'm happy with the result, that all the work and the result that we got for the squadron, and how we do business. And I'm very proud of our squadron to turn around and through COVID and after a big accident like this, and having to get new pilot back, and it just we came out from there, I would say, a little bit of a dark space, and now we're looking positive and forward, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. A point of interest that I have with regards to the aircraft is, was there any modifications or anything done to the aircraft after after what happened last year? I seem to recall reading something about ejection seats or some modifications there, but I don't know, so I might as well ask.
So the ejection seat, as the improvement, is it's ongoing right now. It's a long process, and there's also obviously multiple layers.
Mhm.
Currently, we don't have or confirm that there's a seat that could be replaced, the seat that we have right now. Obviously, technology has improved since we had that seat. We improved the seat with the shoe that kind of stabilize the pilot, or the whoever's the person flying
Mhm.
after the ejection, which we had some really good result with that. But now they are looking changing some of the harness that we have to attach a parachute to,
Mhm.
and then just coming probably next year or the year after will be changing the parachute, which hopefully will help some of the characteristic, the envelope of the ejection as well. So maybe give him, more of a closer to the ground, able to eject closer to the ground, without or with less risk, I would say. So it's ongoing. There's people working hard to find solution and to try to improve that seat.
Mhm.
But the matter of fact, the seat has a characteristic, an envelope, and if you stay within the envelope, then you should be pretty safe. And if
Right.
you're outside the envelope, then you're kind of that's where it becomes a little tricky. You don't know what's going to happen, and Captain, obviously Captain Rich McDougall, it works for him,
Mhm.
but he was, obviously well outside the envelope at the time. And this is kind of the risk we're trying to mitigate when we're doing an air show. Obviously, we're doing loops and roll near the ground, so we're trying to always put ourselves into a place that keeps us within the envelope. And it might take some time to get to the envelope, because if
Mhm.
you're on top of a loop upside down and you lose your engine because of a bird strike or anything like this, then you still have to get out of the loop before you even think about ejecting. So
Right.
uh, there, people need to understand there's a lot of steps
Yes.
before getting to the point that you're ejecting. And
Right.
not only that, first of all, like I said, we want to make sure the public is safe. So anybody on the ground, so the pilot will do his best to try to put the airplane somewhere that will not injure anyone on the ground. And if it means that he stay with the airplane a little longer, then that's potentially that what could happen.
Mhm.
Uh, and then the rest of the formation is still there. So
Mhm.
that's the tricky part about any emergency in a big group like this. Is like, okay, well, four, which is right in the middle of the formation, could have a problem.
Mhm.
Well, I need to think about not just himself, but the rest of the formation before he can start thinking about himself and the public. So keep the formation safe, open up the formation, come off the formation, and then put yourself in a safe envelope so you can eject and obviously be safe. So
Right.
um, the other thing too is ejection is a last resort.
Right.
Like so
Right.
a lot of airplane don't have an ejection seat,
Mhm.
and if they lose their engine, they are going on the ground. So it's a way out. It's a last way out, and it's not meant to be a nice casual ride. It's a rough
Right.
ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And in terms of like just maintaining a currency with the current air traffic control, are you guys now fitted with ADSB, or is that yet to come?
It's a work in progress.
Okay.
It's part of a bigger upgrade that we're going to have for a jet,
Mhm.
but that will be coming in. So I would say in the next year or so we should have see something like this, and we'll have potentially glass cockpit and some really good improvement for the jet.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's great to hear. Um, so you mentioned a little bit earlier about the aircraft, this being the 50th anniversary, that there's going to be some gold accents on the paint scheme of the Snowbird, and you're not able to share them specifically at the moment. But I do know that from having seen the Snowbirds year upon year for almost 2 decades now, um, usually there's a little sticker on the aircraft that signifies the year, or something, uh, some addition to the aircraft that will differentiate it year upon year. um, Aside from the gold accent, is there any kind of team logo or something that has been formalized for the 50th anniversary this year?
Yeah, like we our 50th anniversary logo. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here.
Okay.
Uh, this almost pretty much like that is going to be on the jet as well. Just like you said, like every year we have a bit of a theme or something, and if a bit of a round number, we'll have 45th on there, 40th when I was on the team.
Right.
So we'll have that on the tail, just kind of like we do again to identify kind of the year. If we see picture, oh, okay, that was the 50th.
Right.
But then, like I said, that accent we're gonna see, and we're gonna show up later. There's gonna be a very clear way of saying this is the 50th, which this is why it's a big year.
Excellent. And will that be across all of the jets in the formation, or just number one?
No, just across them all. We were
Across
thinking
them.
about a full gold jet initially, and it's like, that's gonna be too much work. So,
Yeah.
we're trying to do something for all the jets, and it's gonna be very obvious.
Excellent. And you mentioned that with Op Inspiration, that it's not just you, the Snowbirds, but it's also with the CF-18 demonstration team. Um, to what extent do you guys plan, if at all, to do joint appearances with the CF-18? Like, is there any intention to do dissimilar formations, where it's both teams flying together at any particular location?
Oh yeah, as much as we can. Like I think it's the two team working together. It's a great again demonstration of teamwork, not just within the team, but working with others. And it's a two great asset to show Canadian. So the more we can do, the better. Obviously, our schedules is not always working together.
Mhm.
But when we can, we'll try as we can, yeah, for sure.
Excellent, excellent. And when it comes to the team itself, what is the makeup this year in terms of new pilots and pilots that have been on the team from last year?
So with everything that happened, not just the last accident, but the one just before that in Georgia,
Mhm.
there's a lot of obviously turnaround on the pilot side, just for different reasons, not necessarily just for that, but because we're kind of resetting every time, it's like okay, well, uh, it's maybe not for me, so we had to obviously call back some people just to continue be able to fly with the team. So we do have obviously a few new pilots from last year. Some were new last year, and because we didn't have a show season because of COVID and the accident, then we kind of they were still new as they're coming in, but they did ops inspiration. They flew around a little bit and they had some training. So,
Mhm.
but we have obviously one that was brand new pilot that we started training from scratch in the fall, which is number four, and but other than that, we have four pilot that either left the team the year before Umps Inspiration or a few years back, and they're coming back for most of them for 1 year to help the team. And I would say the level of experience that we have right now on the team is really, really high.
Mhm.
So things are going very well. With that level of experience, it's really good because it helps train the newer guy better. and make us strong for the foundation for next year to continue all of this. So I'm really happy with the level of experience we have, and things are looking great this year.
Excellent. Oh, that's fantastic. What are you personally looking forward to? Are you looking forward to any particular show or area of Canada? And you mentioned that there might be an opportunity to go into the States. Would love to hear about any plans to go further afield in Canada.
As for what I'm looking forward, to be honest, I've been stuck in my home for the last year, and or work, and I'll just be happy to go somewhere else, you know. So
Right.
so yeah, I'm happy. Unfortunately, this year, like everything with the public is going to be very limited or via Zoom. I've done a lot of the cadet meeting
Mhm.
like this and give a presentation, so
Mhm.
it's still doable. Obviously, the one-on-one or is much better, and it's probably half of what we do is that one-on-one talking to public and just saying hi to people and trying to inspire people and trying to obviously represent the Canadian forces. Um, but that will most likely not happen very much this year. So I'm happy that we're going away a little bit. I'm happy that we're doing our job that we've trained to do.
Mhm.
Uh, so for this, I'm setting the bar, I'll say low, but I'm setting the bar low in expectation. I'm just happy about that. But
Right.
obviously, I love going across Canada and visiting some of all the provinces or as many as we can. And I'm from Quebec City, so obviously I'm gonna love to go by there and show I'm doing to a lot of my friends and family that don't really see me very often. So.
Yeah.
Uh, and as for the states, we have a schedule. I think the schedule is going to be published again because it's so flexible. It's a little late to be published completely,
Mhm.
but we're going to have a tentative schedule published very soon. So I'll leave that to when it's going to get published.
Sure.
But we have I would say the way it looks right now, starting in about August and on, it actually looked like a normal air show season. It's
Oh,
going to be
great.
nothing like a normal air show season, but on
Right. Right.
paper, it looks like it. So we got a week, a Wednesday show, and then we get a weekend show, and a Wednesday show, and a weekend show. So before that, there's holes here and there, but there's nothing we can do about that. So
Right.
and the one in the United States start mostly on the West Coast, and then make our way inland a little bit and back to Moja for the home closure. So it's pretty typical. Maybe a little shorter this year,
Right.
sorry.
Right. Excellent. And when it comes to the demonstration routine, the overall show itself, um, you mentioned that obviously, if it works, stick with it and stuff. But sometimes there are tweaks. Is there anything appreciably different? I shouldn't even talk about last year because last year was such
Yeah.
an anomaly of a year. But from the previous full demonstration, is there anything different this year for the routine?
Well, you said like if it works, like don't change it. Yes and no. Like one of the things that we have the benefit being the Snowbirds compared to some of the other team is we don't have a script that's giving to us and we need to do it. So
Right.
every year we can sit down and start from scratch and go like, okay, let's try something different. But when I say different, we've been doing it for 50 years, so formation, maneuvers, there's not many more that we can come up
Right.
with.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really hard. We do have 9 airplanes, so we have lots of flexibility in there.
Yeah.
But I say a lot of the stuff has been done before, so we just try to change it up and bring some oldies, bring some kind of newer stuff to make a mismatch. Obviously, being the 50th season, we want to bring the classic back, the one that people see every year, and we're gonna bring some of the new stuff for one of our show. We have a 50th split,
Mhm.
so we have a split to just for our 50th anniversary. Other than that, we're bringing back, I'll say, a 4-3-1 roll. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the show, but we used to do a double take. So it's there's a four ship,
Mhm.
four airplane, and then the wingers goes upside down, and we do half roll, and then the lead to turn right side up. Now the 4-3-1 roll is the opposite. So I roll upside down, and we do half roll, and the wingers are inverted after that. So we're kind of bringing that back a little bit. Is it's been done a few years ago.
Okay.
But some of the classic, like the line abreast combo, the double dove and roll, are still there. The lag back, the split is still there. With the maple split, Canada burst. So there's a lot of split this year because it's such a big year as well. So
Right.
one thing I wanted to do though, like I remember seeing the Snowbird when I was a kid. I loved the show, but after 20 minute ish, as a kid, you start losing interest a little bit. So
Sure.
uh, so this is my vision. So if we can do just a 20-minute show, no more than that, but just as intense as we can and as tight as we can, then my goal is achieved. So it's a bit of a shorter show this year in the 20-ish minutes,
Hmm.
but that'll give us an opportunity to be able to go off field. Like sometimes most of the time, most of the show we do like on an airfield, but
Right.
sometimes we can go fly somewhere, do a show, and come back. So with having a shorter show because of our fuel limitation, then we can actually do the show, come back, and still be safe.
Right. Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. There's one so I know from seeing the shows year upon year, one favorite obviously is the heart that the team show develops with the smoke. But the one I really like for some reason, it's usually at the end, and it's all the jets. To be quite honest, it looks like a jumble, and I don't know what that maneuver is called, but I actually really like that. To me, it's like, because I love photography, and for me, it's neat to try and shoot pictures where there's aircraft in all different angles, all in the same shot. I love that.
Well, we call it Battle of Britain. It's something that we I think created around my first time on the show team,
Right.
and so many people love it. So many
Yeah.
people, and to be honest, like I look at it when it was up. Obviously, we look at the camera all the time to make sure that we're doing the thing right.
Yeah.
And I look at it, go like, yeah, it looks pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But it is one of the simplest thing we do. There's no real training to do that because it's just airplane following each other. So uh, again, everything is smoking mirrors sometime. But
Right.
if you look on the side, there's just a big train of airplane. They one after each other, but
Right.
they're just doing some circle. And because there's so many airplane that looking at the crowd doing circles,
Yes.
it looks very impressive,
Yeah.
and everyone loves it. But it's so easy to train. It takes no time.
That's beautiful. Well, I love
Yeah.
it, and I hope it's still in this year's routine.
It is in a low show.
In the low show. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, while I've got your ear, what is your favorite maneuver?
Well, 4-3-1 roll is something that's very challenging. Obviously, flying upside down and doing a nice profile.
Mhm.
I would say in general, because me being the lead now is a little different than if I'm on the wing. I do love the opener. Opener is a very dense and condensed maneuver, and it's all pretty much me leading everyone and making sure that it's nice and smooth and it's not too far, not too close. So for me, I just like the challenge of that big opener to make sure that it's set up properly to do the best show possible. I do love all this split, but for me, it's kind of boring. The split is just like always in a straight line. Everybody has that having fun on the side, and I was like,
Right.
okay, well, just as fun.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it creates something that looks awesome, which I
Yeah.
love as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that right on, Major. So, I'm gonna ask. You've done a lot of interviews, and I'm curious if you were expecting me to ask a question that I didn't, or if there's anything that is important for you to mention this year as the boss, team lead. Um, is there anything I didn't ask, or anything that you would like for people to know about the Snowbirds this year, 2021?
Well, I touched on it a little bit, but I can be a little more specific about it. Like, I just want to say I'm very proud of the work that the squadron did to come back from where we were last year. We're excited to be able to go on the road. We're excited to represent the men and women of the Canadian Forces. And unfortunately, it's not going to be a normal year, but we'll do our best to try to connect with people as much as we can and show what we do. And we're really, really excited to do that and want to make sure that we do it safely as well. So on the other side of that, I would say COVID is not over. I know, same thing is here in Comox. People are used to come and see us, and they're ready to do that. But I would ask everyone to try to respect the provincial guidelines and making sure everybody's safe. So I'd rather people stay home and not watch us to stay safe. If that's me, that's what you need to do. But hopefully we'll have air shows that are going to be safe to go to. Make sure there's no contact with everyone, and hopefully enjoy what we do. If not, it's probably going to be broadcast as well, maybe online somewhere. So
Right.
we're trying to find a newer way to connect with the population.
Right. And worst case scenario, there's next year.
Yeah, there's always next year. That's for sure.
And fingers crossed, it's a better year than the past year, anyways.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, Major, Jean-Francois Dupont, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, sir. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've learned some stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in a safe manner somewhere this year.
Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Major. I appreciate the time, and good luck for the show year.
Thank you.
Thank you, and happy 50th as well.
Thank you.
That was Major Jean-Francois Dupont, the team lead for the Snowbirds air demonstration team of the Royal Canadian Air Force. Thanks everybody for joining us, and join us again on another episode of Go Bold.